Now, former Fidentia boss J. Arthur Brown has been released on parole. The Department of Correctional Services says the decision was taken after having assessed Brown's profile and other material submitted for parole consideration. Brown faced over 100 charges relating to the disappearance of over 8 billion rand paid to a trust fund. He served 7 of his 15-year sentence. Joining me now is Correctional Services spokesperson Singabako Nxumalo. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, you'll be aware that many people will be aggrieved. We're talking about 1.1 billion rand that disappeared here for a trust for retired mine workers and their dependents, leaving so many people stranded. Just take us to the process of how we actually got to how Mr. Brown actually attained his parole.
A very good evening, and thank you for having us. We've indeed confirmed that Mr. Joseph Arthur Brown has been placed on parole effectively from today, the 21st of October 2021. Correctional Services is located at the tail end of the criminal justice system. We do not participate in court processes, even when a judgment is handed down. All that comes to us is a warrant of detention specifying the offense that the person has committed and the years to be served. And the statement that we issued, we did specify Section 73 of Correctional Services Act, which makes it very clear that all inmates, after serving the minimum detention period, do qualify to be considered for parole placement. This does not mean that automatically they get placed, but they must be considered. And should they be found to be meeting all the requirements and ready to be placed back in society with conditions, they are then approved to be placed out. And we did highlight that this was not the first time that Mr. Brown was considered. It was done previously, but then he did not meet all the requirements. Hence, then it was recommended that he needed to participate in other programs. He did that, and when the parole board met again, they were then satisfied that all the reports were positive, and then placed him on the parole. So that's where we are. There are conditions attached to him. He will be now on parole until his sentence expires, which will be on which will be in December of 2028. So as a department, that's where we are. But we've explained how we came to this particular decision, and we did specify that it was taken by the parole board.
In your statement, you say Brown takes responsibility for the offences he committed and is remorseful. So at just 51 years old, he can still, get a job, start a new career. But will he be allowed to start another fund, engage in the business that got him in the dog box in the first place?
How we go about assisting ex-inmates or parolees is to say when they seek employment or starting businesses, they must refrain from the type of let's say a business venture that they were doing previously, in order to avoid a situation where they could be enticed in terms of going back into the crime that they may have committed previously. But the onus is on them to make it a point that upon rehabilitation, they take responsibility and they stay away from any practices which may then drive them back into the life of crime. Hence, even when they are still under our care in terms of being placed on parole, we monitor them and ensure that should they deviate from the conditions that we place, we then take them back to our facilities. So as a department, we do assist people to start living a normal life, but then they also have a responsibility to ensure that they don't go back into the life of crime, because should they do that, it therefore says the entire period of incarceration, rehabilitation efforts was all in vain.
You also say that, the parole forms part of the total rehabilitation program. Please, just if you can quickly explain that for me.
How a parole placement works is that there could be other programs that a parolee may still be required to participate on, even though he's out there in the community. This is all designed to assist a person to adjust into a normal living setup, which is outside a correctional facility, especially for inmates who have served a very long period in our care. Some do find it hard to adjust. Therefore, those people must be assisted. And we do monitor them. And others will come to us to report that they are struggling with certain things. We can then refer them either to specialists or even our own officials to then intervene where they could be struggling. It is all in an effort to ensure that eventually a person is fully rehabilitated and has adjusted to a normal living lifestyle, and a person is clear in terms of not having to go back into the life of crime. And being on parole does not mean the end of the sentence. You are still expected to serve that sentence until it expires.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. So Joseph Arthur Brown is not allowed to engage in a similar business. I suppose that's critical to a certain extent. Thank you so much for speaking with us tonight. Singabako Ngumalo, Correctional Services spokesperson. J. Arthur Brown has been placed on parole.